I want to jump to this clip that we have of you. This is a tweet from Rep. Matt Gaetz, who said the interim chief investment officer of Calpers wants more diverse perspective and DEI hires at his company.
This is 5 minutes, but worth every bit of it, and the end is the best.
All right, well, let's hit it. Let's play it so you can hear it.
Mr. Bienvenu, how much do you invest each year on behalf of how many of your members?
We manage a $500 billion portfolio on behalf of our 2.2 million members and beneficiaries.
And you've highlighted your principal responsibility is return for those beneficiaries, right?
Correct.
Now, who is this guy and what does he represent?
So this guy represents all of California's public workers, and he invests all of their money. And what they're doing is they're bullying companies to accept DEI and ESG if they want these investments. And if they make the investment, they're actually going in and voting against folks who might be on the board based on the color of their skin.
And the let's play the can't choose to use a different retirement.
Oh no!
Right?
Oh no!
They have to go with this.
You're forced to work with this guy.
Let's play the clip.
The thing that we do every day is about generating returns to pay benefits.
And you've worked there 20 years. You've been the principal deputy since 2020, right?
I was named the deputy chief investment officer in August of 2020, or I'm sorry, in April of 2020.
Okay, great. And so I think there's some parallels between what's going on with ESG and DEI. You don't deny that Calpers has a DEI agenda, right?
Calpers is all about generating returns to pay benefits, and every topic that we approach is through that lens.
Well, does DEI improve the returns to your investors?
I think part of good governance of a company is having diverse perspectives brought to bear as they manage that company, and I feel strongly about that for the investment team that I lead. Also, we want diverse perspectives.
And what is the evidence that you rely on for the belief that the DEI agenda will produce better returns? Is there any study, report, analysis?
You know, as an investor, I read research reports constantly. I probably read 5, 6, 8 of them a day. So over the course of my career, that's probably been thousands.
I know. I'm just wondering, is there one that kind of sticks out in your mind? You can say, Congressman, I'm here to do good by these 2.2 million beneficiaries, and my embrace of DEI, this is what I can point to as the evidence that's helping them.
Every data-based study can tell lots of different things, and every data works that way. That's the way investing works. And remember that when we're focused on investing, we're focused on how we...
Mr. Bienvenu, you can either cite a study or you can't. You can't, right? Okay.
In the thousands of studies that I...
Just name one. Okay, well, here's what. I found a study that actually Calpers did. You guys did this study. It's entitled Emerging Diverse Manager Data Report. And I'm citing from the 6th page of report where it says, since inception, current diverse managers generally underperformed non-diverse managers in the asset class in the policy benchmark.
But he reads lots of stuff.
Are you familiar with this report?
Can I see a copy of that study, please?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the Emerging Diverse Manager Report published by Calpers.
Without objection.
I'm not able to show it to you now, but you don't have any basis to disagree with the agency you've been a part of leading, saying that the DEI hires aren't doing as well as the non-DEI hires.
As I say, when we think about diversity, we think about diverse perspectives being brought to bear on investment decisions.
Right, but okay, so those are two different things, Mr. Bienvenu, because on one hand, there's provide returns for my investors, and what your own data says is that your DEI hires underperform there. And then on the other hand, you say, well, these diverse perspectives are really important. But I worry about the market manipulation and the bullying, because as I review what Calpers has put out under its own investment guidelines, you brag about the fact that you voted against 768 directors at the companies you invest in most recently. And then in the prior year, you'd only voted against 133 directors. So is Calpers voting against people as directors for companies based on their skin color?
We take up every vote independently based on the merits of the vote itself.
Right, but do you ever consider like someone's skin color? Because it's pretty immutable. People don't choose to be white or black or Asian. They just are.
We choose based on what will make the best oversight.
You're under oath here, Mr. Bienvenu. Can you deny under oath that Calpers is voting against directors based on the color of their skin?
I can tell you we make every vote based on what will make that the best board for oversight of that company.
Right, but the best board is actually not doing so well. So, Mr. Chairman, let's look at the scorecard. In the state of Florida, where we aren't pushing ESG and DEI, the Florida retirement system is netting a 7.5% notch for the fiscal year. May I enter that into the record?
Without objection.
And Calpers reports only 5.8% for 2022 to 2023. Can I enter that into the record as well?
Without objection.
So you're not performing as well. Your own data says that your DEI hires aren't performing as well. And you were there for 20 years, and you applied twice for the chief investment position, and you were passed over for that position twice, and you said you weren't going to apply for it the third time because you'd been passed over twice, and I guess they've hired an immigrant to do that job instead. Do you think that maybe you were passed over for some of these DEI reasons?
Calpers' hiring decisions is their own hiring decisions, and I'm not really a part of that candidate.
Clearly you aren't. I yield back.
Wow. So my question to you, Matt, is did you witness the spine be ripped from that man's back, or did he show up without one?
He was not just a DEI purveyor, he was also a victim. And there are moments you want to feel bad for these people, but actually the institutionalized racism that is DEI only happens because there are people like that. Because there are people that are willing to do it. Imagine being one of the people that was up for one of these board positions and it was just you were too white. You didn't get hired. And then what message does that send all the way down an organization like that and throughout the economy? And at some point, isn't that why we have antitrust laws? If there is collusion to literally de-whiteify the entire corporate system in our country, doesn't that seem worse than what Standard Oil was doing? It does to me.
Well, there's a funny meme, and I can't remember who posted it, but they said, isn't it funny that if someone flies an American flag, you know exactly who they're voting for?
Yeah. It didn't used to be that way.
That's kind of scary, because what that says to me is that there's an invasive force taking over our country from us.
And if they're flying it upside down, I know how they're voting in primaries.
Oh, yeah. But it's scary. I mean, you have when I was at the Trump rallies in 2015, people are flying Mexican flags. They're outside protesting Donald Trump.
Isn't that the argument about nationalism at some level? People are flying their flag.
Yeah, but they're flying it in the United States, saying, make California Mexico again. And then you have millions of people crossing the border. They march to this country with their flags of their home nations, illegally enter. And then my favorite thing is, I say it sarcastically, Joe Biden claiming he's securing the border by setting a threshold to allow illegal immigration. Crossing the border is a crime.
Okay. Could we get into the Biden border thing?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so first of all, we get Joe Biden raising his hand at the Democrat debate saying, I will give the illegal aliens free health care. We remember that moment, right? A pretty searing moment. He gets elected. They show up at the border, waving their Biden signs with their Biden T-shirts. Kind of obvious that moment has induced this. Then they all get here, and then they say the border's secure. The border's remember there was the whole border is secure era?
Well, they also said he had gone to the border. We don't know what's going on.
Well, then after they couldn't maintain that era anymore, they went to the border is chaos, but it's actually the Republicans' fault that the border is in chaos. And we're like, just reinstitute the Trump policy. He's like, no, we have to have the Langford bill. Then we went into that era. Remember the era where the only way we were going to secure the border was with a bill that let in 5,000 people every day. And a bunch of us were like, you actually don't need a bill at all. You just need to undo the stuff you did to screw with the Trump policies, and everything will be fine. And then lo and behold, here we have, with no bill at all, Joe Biden doing the very thing that we've been calling for the whole time, maintaining, the border that Trump did, or at least asserting he will.
No, but what he's done is, if you go back to when I think it was Homan, was that his name? It's been a while. He says it is a crime to illegally cross the border outside of a port of entry, and he cites the code. What's happening now is Joe Biden says, we got 10,000 coming across the border every day. Well, I'm going to make it 1,500. That's an increase of 1,500 from zero. It's all illegal. They should all be deported and arrested and detained. Why are we allowing any amount of it?
Well, we shouldn't. I mean, by the way, and that's not enough. I mean, we truly have to engage in internal enforcement of our immigration policies at this point, or we don't have a country. And it's simple. There's no reason an illegal alien should be released into this country if you have the Title 42 public health authorities, remain in Mexico, and safe third country. Those three things give you a detain or remove option with every illegal immigrant.
But shouldn't we also disincentivize people coming here illegally? Like, shouldn't we end birthright citizenship so people don't say, well, I just need to rush to the border and have a kid?
We're in the minority in the developed world with the way we treat citizenship. And
I think we're the only country in the developed world that does it.
We get played by third world narcos. Like the next generation of cartel talent slip across the border, have their babies, and then they get the full suite of rights that we would afford any American. And the Chinese get their birthing suites.
Yeah.
No.
This is surrogate too. Sometimes.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing. This is surrogacy. They'll hire an American woman to carry their a Chinese Communist Party child, and then it's born in America, brought right back to China, but has citizenship rights.
We're literally being reduced to our wombs for the Chinese.
It's crazy. But this is the thing. I feel like,
it's the last step in One Belt, One Road, our wombs.
Yeah.
But we hear a lot about mass deportations. Is Trump going to do it? I think that would be a great idea, but I don't think it's enough. We should enforce the laws on the books, yes, but we should also revise the laws that encourage people to come here illegally.
And that requires an attorney general that's really willing to write a policy on subject to the jurisdiction thereof around the constitutional provisions of birthright citizenship. And I'm for it.
Matt, you're aware of the people that were arrested, I believe, in New York, the essentially ISIS members.
Yeah.
Can you speak to the repercussions of having an open border and having this kind of stuff? Because if there's 6 that were picked up, I mean, I don't think it's 6 out of 10 million. I think it's probably a whole lot more. And it's not just one group. There are multiple groups that have significant problems with the United States I personally believe that have used the open border to send people into the United States to cause problems.
Remember that trip Mike Johnson led House Republicans on down to Eagle Pass?
Oh, yeah.
We got there a little bit early. And we talked to some of the folks who were there, and they said, Congressman, some of the folks angriest about this are FBI and Homeland Security investigations, because they had a whole special group here that they'd rounded up that they had questions on based on country of origin, where they were from. Not saying everyone was a terrorist, but definitely some people that deserve some extra screening. And when they found out all of you were coming, those folks were dispersed and just sent out anywhere.
Also, I heard Mayorkas talking about U.S. installations along the road that they're taking to get here in other countries. I don't remember. I don't have the clip up here, but I heard Mayorkas talking. I think it was in front of Congress, talking about there are U.S. installations assisting people that are making the journey, which I don't know like I said, the ins and outs of it, but that seems absolutely absurd to me. But it also doesn't seem out of what the administration would do.
It's a global network. And we see evidence that it's a global network, and we are a piece of that, and we fund that. And I was told by our House leadership that in the last spending bill, the reduction in spending of the NGOs that move people around by 20% was a real concession that we got, a real win.
What was it up from the year before?
They've been dealing with sizable increases. I don't know the percentage.
But they did 20% less over a year, 1 year?
Yeah, but I mean, look, we should not be paying for 1 cent of our own invasion. If like the hill we were dying on was the NGOs, then we should have gotten every bit of that.
That's why I don't understand how we can send more money to Ukraine than we do to our own border. Like, it seems crazy to me that this was the priority of the Biden administration, to a certain extent, a lot of Congress. I mean, what happened?
I had one of the senior leaders of the Marine Corps sitting down, and I asked him, how big his budget was. He told me. I said, what if we just doubled it? He said, well, I've never had a congressman ask me that before. Usually folks are asking me to cut money or what could I reposition, but gosh, I could do all these things if I doubled it. Now, you realize the last check we wrote, authorization we wrote for Ukraine, is bigger than the funding of the entire Marine Corps in the United States. We could give that money to Ukraine for 1 year or have an entire other Marine Corps. And at a time when our recruiting is failing, when our facilities in a lot of these bases see the barracks moldy and the food's bad, like for our own troops, it sucks to see us doing this where we're not even following our end-use monitoring laws, where we're retiring Ukrainian debt service. And I sort of wonder what victory looks like. And when I've asked questions of the Biden admin officials, okay, so does Putin's strategic defeat, that's what they always use, does that mean that Crimea has to be repatriated? And the answer from all of them is yes, right? So this is the new forever war. And I'm sorry, but I've lived my whole life watching these wars.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.